Hey everyone! Most of us love to travel, and that's not a surprise, because we all want to see different cities and countries, which are all unique in their own way. Going to new places gives people energy, strength, and loads of fresh experiences. Traveling really changes people. It's like you come back a different person after visiting a new place. But while some cities leave you feeling positive and refreshed, others have the opposite effect. There are plenty of dangerous places in the world, both for locals and tourists, so it's probably a good idea to know about these spots and try to avoid them. Let's find out which cities are the most dangerous in the world. Let's go! San Pedro Sula in Honduras is a super dangerous city, totally steeped in violence and murder. Just imagine, every year there are 170 murders per 100,000 residents, and the local laws let people freely buy and own firearms, which of course only contributes to the crime. In a nutshell, this place is kind of a coke central. It's where they pack the stuff up before shipping it off to the US. Everyone knows about it, but they just can't do anything. It's gnarly just walking around the streets here. Word is, some local folks killed a tourist and swiped his camera. This city is pure chaos. People are getting offed on the daily. This town runs on corruption, drugs, and weaponry. Caracas, Venezuela, mate. The capital of Venezuela is like the most dangerous city in South America. Plus, Caracas ain't got no cool sights or pretty views. Nothing much in terms of architecture either. Pretty much no safe zones here. You could get killed or robbed in broad daylight anytime. The biggest danger? The biker dudes, or what they call motorizados. Consider yourself lucky if they just snatch your bag. In the worst case, they could blast you. In Caracas, tourists are in for a rough time. There are cases where travelers ended up 6 feet under. When you're leaving the airport or checking into a hotel. In Caracas, it's like there's a big neon sign that separates the rich from the poor. You've got billionaires living right next to folks who can barely scrape by. The streets are ruled by local gangs and the police can't do squat about it. Over 100 cops were killed in 2012 alone. Caracas isn't just the capital of Venezuela, but it's also like the mecca of drugs and murder. Every year in Venezuela, there's a scary number of murders. Tijuana, Mexico, that's another one of the world's most dangerous cities, sitting right on the border with the US. The number of murders here compared to the population size is bonkers. The first thing that jumps out at you is the slums that remind you of India. It's no wonder because the wages are pretty pathetic, but the costs are like you're in America. Acapulco, Mexico, yet another beautiful resort town in Mexico, Acapulco. It's a great spot for tourists to unwind, but don't wander too far from the touristy areas. So what you're gonna see here definitely won't make your day. Local cops? Forget it. They're so deep into corruption and drug trafficking you can't tell who's scarier, local thugs or the police. More than 100 murders per 100,000 people happen here. The city is neck-deep in drug-fueled violence. Once a beautiful city with amazing beaches, the toast of musicians and poets, now it's known for its crime-ridden history. Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. There's another city in Mexico with the same issue. Crazy high murder rate, robberies, drug and weapon trafficking. It's risky to even walk the streets during the day. You might end up in the middle of a gang fight. Police cars are always patrolling the streets, though a bunch of them are crooked cops. Because of the corrupt police, the city's lawless. People are packing up and leaving the city, looking for safer places to live. Pietermaritzburg. South Africa, Mahatma Gandhi once visited this city. Actually, there's even a monument in the center of Pietermaritzburg dedicated to the guy. Nonetheless, this place is an utter chaos, with human rights getting trampled all over, and the streets seriously swarming with homeless kids. It's so bad you'd be chancing it even in broad daylight. It's got an infamous reputation as one of South Africa's most dangerous cities. Johannesburg, South Africa, another city in South Africa, is infamous as one of the world's most crime-riddled metropolises. Not too long ago, they made it possible to come to South Africa sans visa, and you can chill around for up to 90 days. But really, do you want to? Reviews from tourists are pretty mixed. Some reckon it's way too risky even in daytime, while others reckon that's just exaggerating. Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. This city has quite the fascinating story. It's considered the capital city of the descendants of cannibals. The staggering rates of poverty and crime make this city a dicey place to live. Fortaleza, Brazil, is another dangerous city with a high crime rate. They also call it the City of Thieves. Despite the fact it's got gorgeous beaches and stunning architecture, more and more locals are skipping town because of the corruption, drugs, robberies, murders, and kidnappings. All those things have become just everyday occurrences here. Cape Town, South Africa. Cape Town, probably the most dangerous city in South Africa. Not a day goes by without some sort of murder, shootouts, robberies, attacks. The city is drowning in poverty and chaos. If you decide to visit Cape Town, don't go alone. Leave your valuables at home and stick to the tourist trails. Karachi, Pakistan. The former capital of Pakistan is now a super dicey place. Lawlessness, corruption, crime, and political instability have made this city super risky. Any issue here is resolved by guns or money. This place is where human traffickers hide from the law, and crazy fanatics could start a terrorist attack anytime. In this city, no one bats an eye at a shootout in broad daylight. Mogadishu, Somalia. Due to the ongoing civil war, half of the local population has fled from the city. Every day there are shootings, bombings, and kidnappings. There aren't enough doctors in hospitals to help the wounded. Mogadishu is split in two, with the southern part considered safer. To get from one side to the other, you have to go through strict security checks, and crossing this border is only possible on foot. You won't find any intact buildings here, and people are forced to sleep in refugee camps or wrecked houses. Maceió, Brazil. This resort town attracts tourists with its beautiful beaches, white sand, and amazing landscapes. But it's still one of the most dangerous cities, with 135 murders happening per 100,000 locals. The gap between the rich and poor here is just massive, and almost all crime victims are locals, not tourists. Tegucigalpa, Honduras. This city is run by street thugs who collect taxes, and those who don't want to pay, well, they face murder, blackmail, or torture. After criminals were deported from the US back to their homeland, crime in the city spiked big time, and criminal gangs compete with each other, doing wild and crazy things. It's dangerous here even during the day. For every 100,000 inhabitants, there are more than 100 murders a year. Baghdad, Iraq. The days when everything was chill in Baghdad are long gone. After the American occupation, the city became a battleground. Every day, there are explosions, shootouts, clashes, and gunfire in residential areas has become the norm. Water and electricity are provided by the hour in this city. Baghdad is filled with trash, and a large part of the city is deserted. Cali. This place is crawling with bad guys, completely run by lawlessness and crime. Besides that, in Kale and Cali, there's a bunch of guerrilla groups operating who aren't happy with the government. Offing the locals has become kinda normal here, with over 80 murders per every 100,000 residents. Still, it's a pretty gorgeous city, kinda attracts tourists. #13 and Barrio 18. They're the cause of all the anxiety, with the capital of Salvador teeming with criminals who don't think twice about fighting each other openly in the city streets even during the day. Detroit, USA. Detroit's gotten a rep as the most dangerous city in the US. Even the RoboCop movie showed it as a place that's crazy dangerous with violence and crime rampant. Almost 40% of the folks living there are under the poverty line. There's less than 700,000 people, but for every 100,000 of them, there's 45 murders and more than 2. Beaten yearly. Sana'a, Yemen, is another dangerous city where political instability has severely impacted people's lives. Crime has significantly increased, and no one here is surprised by attacks, explosions, thefts, or murders. The city is simply dying out due to the lack of water and electricity. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Although the number of murders here isn't as high compared to other cities in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro is far from being a safe city. Chances are you're almost guaranteed to become a victim of robbery. The crime rate has risen and hooliganism and thefts have become frequent. The number of robberies is growing every year, particularly mobile phone thefts. Nevertheless, loads of tourists still come here every year. Most of them are here to watch football matches or to see the Christ statue. Of course, any city, even the safest one, can present dangers. There are always places you'd best avoid in every city. We all need to know about the world's cities. Better skip these spots and go for safer travel routes instead. Which city on our list blew you away the most? Drop that in the comments, smack that like button, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel.